And my name is Tao. I'm the creative director of FCHA. It's the meaning of fountain architect. So its Chinese name is neighborhood city. So we are doing like the urbanization progress in China to giving kind of a new model, new strategy for the urbanization. So this year we have 6 projects shortlisted in all different categories. So that's the only one that we are in the final. We're very lucky enough. So it's my honor here to present you my project Underpark Office. It's a design community actually in the Shenzhen. So let's briefly go through the site. Actually, it's in the center of the Nanshan district. Nanshan district is famous for its high-tech park. And recently, it's even more famous for a lot of high-tech companies like Huawei and DJI. They have kind of a war towards America. So because the high-tech park is quite dense, and then the government was planning to build up a new kind of high-tech room area in the north of the high-tech area. So this is the area where you're located. And it's like a half-hour far from the airport. So if you go take a look of the dash line, actually, it's a kind of a neighborhood with a kind of a few kilometers big, and it's like a 500 million square meter going to build a new city. And the project where we're located is actually in the linear park, connecting the both park in the right and in the left. And this is the original idea given from Vanke. It's the biggest real estate company in China. They want to build up a kind of a design community, which it means it's kind of a creative industry work, collaborate with all different kind of, including strategy planning, master plan, architecture design, and the graphic design, interior design, landscape design. So it's all for this kind of creative office. And then they're giving a kind of commission that's saying that there's no unit going to be more than 500 meters. So they will all be kind of a small office, not really big office inside. And this master plan was done by Urbanus. It's another famous company in China. So they were doing a kind of master plan and saying that each plot should kind of continues by the public space continues. And we are actually inside plot number 2, but it's quite complicated. You know, plot number 2 is designed by 4 architecture cluster in Shenzhen. And plot number 3 is a cluster designer based on Beijing, and plot number 4 is based on Shanghai. So it's like, even in this small area, it's like 13 different architects working together. So we are inside this plot number 2, and then it's cut through this idea, first the public space, and also the light channel to cut through to make the plot into a small building. So we are in the A4 and the B2. It's designed by us, the interior and architecture. So A3 is Node, A2 is Urbanage, and A1 is another Huayi company. So it's 4 different architects work back to back next to each other, and it's like one project. And after a few workshops together, so we come up to some kind of idea and also some kind of control rules that from the northern part, it should be kind of a big volume, and in the northern part, it's segmented, and in the southern part, it's bigger. And also, it's important that underneath it's an underneath part, and also the FAR above the ground is 0.3, and under the ground is 0.6. So it's roughly kind of a FAR 1 project. Also, we should increase in more kind of a hold for ventilation and the lighting for the underneath office. And it should be a continuous roof. So you roof it to the ground from the top, then you see a kind of continuous park. In the middle of our project, it's a big slope that connecting the basement level to the upper level. So you're allowing people for the accessibility. And it's also a kind of an open outdoor kind of theater for big events. So when people going down, they can have a kind of a view in different. And also this is a project without almost any facade. It's really just basic material. It's poured concrete and glass and then some kind of aluminum panel. So this is outdoor experience. So this is actually exactly the project we designed for architecture and interior. But we also, as architect, was be the manager of the whole project to control for the other architect, because it's kind of complicated project. It should be unified as one. So the unit is subdivided into like a townhouse. Each unit have its own shell, own courtyard, and own terrace. So this is like something like some lighting channel. When you're looking up, you see a bridge crossing by. This is a typical unit. And you can see the outside, the light is very strong, actually. It's underneath basement, below 5 meters. And this is one of the terraces. They can enjoy the view, and also have some kind of discussion looking up for meditation. This is underneath below 10 meters. So it's actually, it's just deep in the ground. But you can see from the right side, it's the original rock. It's frozen and dig out. We try to maximize to keep its original style and then make the space very kind of unique and have its own characteristic. So by the contrast, you see the artificial and the nature in a way. And this is the main section that for this main big sharing space. Let's say it's a co-working space. So it contains quite a lot of different programs, the lecture hall, the open office, the kind of a workshop, maker space, meeting room, small meeting room. And this is the lecture hall when it's open. And that's a kind of a curtain wall that can close. And when it's open like this, then you can see a view. So recently, quite a lot of lecture was happening here in Shenzhen. And this is the office platform. It's a co-working space. This is the maker rooms. So in the left side is the metal room, and in the right side is the wood room. So this different platform, 3D printer room, wood workshop, and metal workshop, meeting room, small meeting room. Yeah. So the drawing we highlight is the plan, and this is the session. And you can see from above the park, actually, quite a lot of people was taking activity just above the ground on the park. It's very welcome for the neighborhood. So in this picture, then you see the continuous between the two parks. So now it's really a kind of a interesting model that the neighborhood was quite enjoying the park, and the underneath the office is having a quite good quality, and the government was also very welcoming this kind of a new model, because quite a lot of different planning institutions and from the planning bureau from Inland China, they come to visit this quite often. It's like a dozen of visitors each week coming to the site. So it become a kind of new paradigm for this park with office. Thank you very much.
Okay, so it's zoned as a park, and you managed to get permission to include commercial real estate within a park zoning?
Yes, this is original the planning from the planning bureau. So it's saying that the FAR is 1.0, so you should build something. For sure, from the government point of view, they would like to build some commercial for serving for the park. But Vanke didn't accept the idea. They use this kind of let's say, they just want to build a kind of design creative industry park.
It didn't have to have community buildings or schools or preschools or any requirements like that?
No, for the whole project, it's a big area, and this is actually the starting point of the whole master plan area. It's the first project was built. So you see from the pictures, actually the neighborhood there's some residential is building up recently, but it's actually for dormitory for the industry. It's not really for residential. So there's not so many residential nearby. Yeah.
You know, you're calling this a new paradigm, and I'm wondering a little bit about the extensive green, and I'm curious as to what is the sort of maintenance plan that goes with structures and green like this. It's very highly manicured, managed, so there has to be a whole management structure to these complexes. So in terms of the urbanism of it, how is that managed? Is it managed as a site, as a plot, or is it some other governance structure?
Yes. Actually, it's an open park. It's owned by the government, but there's also it's commissioned to Vanke. They will also do the maintenance for the landscape, and also there's a kind of thick soil above the structure, so you can plant all different kind of trees as the landscape wants. And also, because another important thing is very successful because all the units is 5 meters high. So most of the creative industry, when they come in, they can really try to build up their own style, own interior space. So it's just in less than 2 years, it's almost full. It's almost full. And also the renting price from the really beginning is like 150 rand per square meter. Now it's going to 200 rand per square meter. And in neighborhoods surrounding most of the office, it cannot be easy to rent out, but this is very popular product, let's say.
So the landscape is managed by the city, by the government?
The landscape is managed by also the real estate owner.
Developer.
Yeah, but the government will kind of do some compensation, yeah.
Vanke's the developer.
Yeah, yeah, Vanke.
So I just want to clarify, how many, it's a little hard to understand the scale, how many square meters enclosed?
Yeah, for both two projects, plot number 1 and plot number 2, it's roughly like 30,000 square meter. And if only plot number 2, it's like 15,000 square meter. And the design of our park is like 8,000, something like that.
Okay. So 8,000 is the part you've designed. And it's stores and offices, and then some shared cultural services.
Yeah, mainly studios, mainly office. There's only some kind of, showing the kind of sharing space, sharing facility, workshops, lecture, and then also meeting room. Not so much kind of commercial.
And how does it cohere? I mean, the beauty of map buildings is that they integrate the landscape and they break down the scale. The problem with map buildings has always been that it becomes very difficult to find them, and once you're inside, to find your way through them. What have you done? It looks like on the left of the slide as if that's sort of a main entrance, and it looks also as if, well, no, just what did you do?
Where's the entrance?
Well, I think it's over there on the left.
Oh.
But what did you do to help people understand where they are, or maybe it's like a shopping mall and you want to get lost?
Yes, it's really a good question. It's true, actually, it's like a maze.
Yeah.
People will lost for sure inside if you're without guide. But actually, the rooftop is open and it's connected. So if you want to go down, like there's a lot of street, valley, and a kind of corridor you can pass by, but it's let's say it's kind of office part. So people just go to their office and go to the meeting room and go to share space. They are not really going to your office and their office to maintain time, but it's actually a nice environment underneath because it's below the ground. It's covered with shading. It's not too much sunshine, and it's cold temperature, especially in summer.
But
so it's
yeah. Just I mean, what I would expect would be some sort of either spine or some sort of central square or series of squares, but you didn't want to do that.
Actually, that's one, but because it's guided by the master plan that's in the middle part. When you go down to the slope, you turn left and turn right. It's connecting.
Yeah.
It's connecting, But we didn't show too much picture because that's kind of the cost of the design, and we mainly show our part of the design. Yeah.
But you know, in a way, it's a pity that you don't emphasize the non-existence and proper image of each office in this project, because that is where mainly offices were always all about in the past. You know, where, you know, what's the image of who I am? You know, what's the brand image? It was always something everyone talked about when you had a particular company to be recognized. But here you are, you hide it somehow in between the landscape and well, you are in the maze in a way. But I also have a similar question about the organization and the way how this maze can work towards all kinds of work qualities you can bring into the way how certain companies can communicate with each other better. Maybe they can start up certain dialogues if you're talking about startups, for instance. So that the whole principle of an incubator environment where you're in a way half invisible, and that it is more about the social, maybe the social interactive, innovative aspect of working. I really miss that in your story, because that is what could all happen here.
That's true. There's quite a lot of interesting small space inside for the whole project, because it's really a custom design. It's like designed by 4 architects, and it's quite kind of intense for the design wisdom. There's quite a lot of small courtyard, small kind of public terrace for lecture, for sharing, and then you can also see there's some kind of rooftop basketball. They organize indoor basketball and outdoor sports. There's quite a lot of activity. Actually, it's bringing people together.
Okay.
So that's really something amazing that people working here. It's really a community. It's not single units. Yeah, but that's true that I didn't show too much about this. Yeah.
Thanks.
Note to end on. Thank you very much indeed.
Thanks.
Thank you.